All right, buckle up for a deep dive into a rematch that has the MMA world on fire. Makachev versus Sarukyan II at UFC 311. You wanted the lowdown on this fight. Well, trust me, it's way more than just a title bout. This is a story 5 years in the making.
You know what's so captivating about this one? It's not just two fighters in their prime. We're seeing the culmination of their journeys since their first encounter. It's a chance to see how they both sharpened their tools and really adapted their strategies.
Let's rewind to April 2019. Picture this. A young Sarukyan steps into the octagon for his UFC debut, and not against just some random journeyman, right? He's up against Islam Makachev, a rising force already turning heads in the lightweight division. Talk about a baptism by fire.
It was a short-notice fight for Sarukyan. A lot of people saw it as a showcase for Makachev, but man, what unfolded was a war. Sarukyan didn't just survive, he pushed Makachev to the very edge, took him the full 3 rounds. They both earned Fight of the Night honors for that one, which is a testament to the sheer grit and skill on display that night.
And that fight, that really set the stage for this rematch, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. He exceeded everyone's expectations. It was like a coming-out party. And everybody, fans and pundits alike, were like, we need to see these two go at it again. And now, 5 years later, the time has come.
Since that first fight, Makachev's trajectory has been, well, nothing short of meteoric. He's on a 14-fight win streak, captured the lightweight championship from Charles Oliveira in 2022, and he's defended that belt 3 times against absolute killers, Volkanovski, Poirier. I mean, the guy's a machine.
His rise is a testament to his incredible work ethic.
Yeah.
And the evolution of his skill set, his grappling, which is rooted in the Dagestani style, made famous by Khabib. It's arguably the best in the division. But what's made him truly dominant, is the development of his striking. He's gone from a grappling specialist to a complete mixed martial artist.
So we're not just talking about a guy who can take you down and smother you. This is someone who can crack you coming in, which makes him an absolute nightmare to prepare for. But here's where the story gets really intriguing. Sarukyan hasn't just been twiddling his thumbs either. Since that loss to Makachev, he's racked up a 9-1 record, with his only loss being a razor-thin split decision. And he's not just winning, he's finishing fights.
And it's important to note one of those wins was against Charles Oliveira, the very same man Makachev dethroned for the title. That victory alone catapulted Sarukyan into title contention. It proved he's not that green prospect from the first fight anymore.
He's a bona fide threat now. And when you look at his evolution, you see a fighter who's addressed his weaknesses and become, well, even more dangerous. He's always had that aggressive grappling style, right? But now he's added serious knockout power to his arsenal. I remember watching his fight against Damir Ismagulov last year. Sarukyan landed this vicious left hook. It nearly took Ismagulov's head off.
Yeah, that knockout power adds another layer of complexity to this rematch. Makachev can't just focus on taking Sarukyan down. He's got to be aware of that threat on the feet. And that could create some openings for Sarukyan, to utilize his improved takedown defense and keep the fight standing.
So let's talk about the first fight for a moment. What stood out to you? What were some of Sarukyan's strengths? What do you think he might try to replicate in this rematch?
One thing that really impressed me was Sarukyan's ability to scramble. Even when Makachev did take him down, Sarukyan was constantly moving, always looking for a way to get back to his feet. He also showed these flashes of effective striking.
Yeah.
He landed some good shots on the feet.
Okay, but Makachev still won a clear decision that night. What did he do well, and how has he improved since then?
Makachev was relentless with his pressure and takedowns. He wore Sarukyan down, just wore him down with his grappling control. And what's scary is that Makachev's grappling has become even more sophisticated since then.
You mentioned he was a complete mixed martial artist now. What specifically has he added?
His understanding of striking has gone to another level. He's not just throwing punches. He's setting them up. He's using feints, mixing in kicks. And the thing is, his striking complements his grappling perfectly. He can use his strikes to close the distance and get the clinch, where his takedowns become even more effective. It's like a puzzle, where all the pieces fit perfectly.
It sounds like we have a real clash of styles brewing here. Sarukyan, the dynamic, aggressive finisher, looking to crack the puzzle that is Islam Makachev.
And Makachev, the methodical, suffocating champion, looking to prove that his reign is just beginning.
This is shaping up to be an absolutely fascinating rematch, wouldn't you say?
I don't think there's a fight fan on the planet who isn't excited for this one. It's got all the ingredients for a classic. High stakes, bad blood.
Yeah.
And 2 incredibly skilled fighters at the top of their game.
We've established both guys are beasts. But their journeys since that first fight, it just makes this rematch even more intriguing. They've both leveled up, but in different ways. It's like they've been playing separate RPGs, grinding different skills, and now they're meeting for the boss battle.
Yeah, that's a great analogy. It really begs the question, though, whose skill set will translate better come fight night? I think if we dive deeper into the strategic side of things, Sarukyan's win over Oliveira provides some clues. Oliveira, like Makachev, is a grappling wizard. But Sarukyan managed to neutralize that threat with his takedown defense. And he landed some brutal shots on the feet, too.
So you're saying Sarukyan's blueprint for beating Makachev might already be in place?
It's certainly possible. He's shown he can handle elite grapplers. And his striking has become a serious weapon. Remember that Ismagulov fight we talked about? Sarukyan's a threat from all angles now.
Okay, but Makachev isn't Charles Oliveira. He's arguably more well-rounded. And he's proven he can adjust his game plan mid-fight. Do you think he'll try to take Sarukyan down immediately? Or will he try to test him on the feet early on?
That's the million-dollar question. Makachev is a master at dictating the pace and location of the fight. He might try to pressure Sarukyan early, test his takedown defense, and look for opportunities to wear him down against the cage. On the other hand, he might be confident enough in his striking to stand and trade with Sarukyan for a round or two, hoping to catch him with a counter or weaken him for a later takedown.
Man, I'm getting chills just thinking about the possibilities. But let's get back to Sarukyan for a moment. We've talked about his striking and his improved takedown defense. But what about his grappling? Can he hang with Makachev on the ground if the fight goes there?
Sarukyan's grappling is definitely underrated. He's not just a defensive grappler, he's also a threat from the bottom. He's very good at creating scrambles. And he's got some slick submissions in his arsenal. That being said, Makachev's grappling is on another level. If he gets Sarukyan down and establishes control, it's going to be very difficult for Sarukyan to escape.
It's almost like a chess match, isn't it? Each fighter trying to outmaneuver the other, anticipating their moves and exploiting any weaknesses.
Exactly. And that's what makes this rematch so compelling. It's not just about brute strength or athleticism, it's about strategy, technique, and mental toughness.
So, knowing what we know about these two fighters, how do you see the fight playing out?
Honestly, it's a toss-up. Both fighters have a clear path to victory. If Sarukyan can keep the fight standing, utilize his striking, and stuff Makachev's takedowns, he has a real chance of pulling off the upset. But if Makachev can drag Sarukyan into deep waters, wear him down with his pressure, and get the fight to the ground, it's going to be a long night for Sarukyan.
I don't know about you, but I'm on the edge of my seat already. This is the kind of fight that keeps you up at night, just analyzing every possible scenario.
And that's the beauty of MMA. It's unpredictable. Anything can happen. And in a fight this close, it might just come down to who wants it more.
Let's shift gears for a second and talk about the bigger picture. What does this fight mean for Makachev's legacy? He's already considered one of the best lightweights in the world. But a win over Sarukyan, it would solidify his position as the dominant champion of this era.
Absolutely. A win here puts Makachev in a very exclusive club. He'd be mentioned alongside names like Khabib, GSP, and John Jones.
And what about Sarukyan? A win over Makachev would be a massive statement. It would launch him to superstardom and establish him as the new king of the lightweight division.
It would be one of the biggest upsets in UFC history. It would be a testament to Sarukyan's determination, his ability to learn and adapt, and his sheer willpower to overcome adversity. Remember, this is the same guy who stepped into the octagon on short notice for his UFC debut against Makachev and nearly beat him. 5 years later, he's back, and he's ready to prove that he belongs at the very top.
Okay, so we've broken down the fighters, their styles, their journeys, and what's at stake. But let's rewind for a second and remind everyone where and when they can witness this epic clash.
UFC 311 goes down on January 18th, 2025 at the state-of-the-art Intuit Dome in Inglewood, California.
And for those of you watching at home, you can catch all the action live on ESPN Plus pay-per-view with the prelims available on ESPN New WS, Disney Plus Amato, and ESPN Plus DAC. Trust me, you do not want to miss this one.
This fight has all the makings of a Fight of the Year contender. It's a clash of styles, a battle of wills, and a story of redemption.
It's a fight that could very well define the lightweight division for years to come, and it's a fight that, quite frankly, I can't wait to see. We've covered a lot of ground here, but, I think it's safe to say this rematch is more than just a fight. It's a culmination of everything we love about this sport, the drama, the skill, the heart, the stories that unfold both inside and outside the octagon.
Yeah. And what makes this fight so fascinating is that it's impossible to predict with certainty. You can make a case for either fighter, really. Makachev's dominance is undeniable, but Sarukyan's growth and determination are equally compelling. It's a true clash of titans, and that's what makes it a must-watch event.
I think for me, the biggest question mark is Sarukyan's ability to withstand Makachev's pressure. Can he stay disciplined? Can he avoid getting caught in those grappling exchanges? The ones that have spelled doom for so many of Makachev's opponents.
That's the key for Sarukyan. He can't afford to get drawn into Makachev's game. He needs to stay on the outside, use his footwork, and pick his shots carefully. If he can frustrate Makachev and, make him doubt himself, even a little, that's where the cracks might start to show.
It's funny. In a way, Sarukyan's journey reminds me of a young Georges St-Pierre. Came into the UFC with a strong grappling base, but he evolved into one of the most well-rounded fighters of all time. Do you see any parallels there?
I see what you're saying. Sarukyan's dedication to improving his striking, it does remind me of GSP's evolution a little bit. And if Sarukyan can pull off the upset here, it could be the start of a similarly dominant run.
That's a scary thought for the rest of the lightweight division. But let's be honest, we're getting ahead of ourselves here. First, Sarukyan needs to get past the reigning champ, and that is a monumental task.
No doubt about it. But that's what makes this sport so captivating, right? It's the ultimate test of skill, will, and strategy. And on January 18th, we'll get to see who comes out on top.
Yeah. So, as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with one final thought. Regardless of who wins this fight, we're witnessing history in the making, really. Two elite fighters at the peak of their powers, colliding in a rematch 5 years in the making.
This is a fight that will be talked about for years to come, a fight that has the potential to redefine the lightweight division. It's a fight that you simply cannot miss.
So there you have it. Everything you need to know about this epic showdown. Make sure you tune in to UFC 311 and get ready for a night of unforgettable action.
Enjoy the fight.